I also found an email that I have right here from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell that was unredacted. And it included notes of statements that Donald Trump made about his prior relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, there is no reason for this to be hidden from the American people. There is no privilege, there is no attorney-client privilege, and I see you're checking with your staff, and I can assure you, staff, this is not under attorney-client privilege because it was sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell.
If you want to see an absolute explosion on Capitol Hill, you need to watch New York Representative Dan Goldman completely tear into Attorney General Pam Bondi over a massive, unconstitutional cover-up. During a fiery House Judiciary Committee hearing, Goldman brought the ultimate receipts to expose how the Trump Department of Justice has been weaponizing redactions. Goldman revealed that while he was reviewing files at the department, he unearthed an unredacted email sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell containing explicit statements from Donald Trump about his past relationship with the elite predator. When Goldman demanded Bondi unredact this file for the public, she completely panicked, screaming that it was privileged before launching into defensive personal attacks. But the most devastating moment came when Goldman turned to the real Epstein survivor seated right in the room, exposing that while Bondi redacted information to protect powerful men, she left 31 survivors' names entirely exposed to public intimidation. Let's get right into this explosive, jaw-dropping showdown.
New York recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I went over to the department yesterday for a couple of hours to review some of the unredacted materials. And I am looking forward to your detailed explanation for why you have withheld almost half of the documents, which is required by the bill. Now, obviously, there are 3 million documents, so I didn't get through much. But one thing I didn't see was the client list that you said you had on your desk a year ago. I did, however, find a couple of important documents. An 86-page prosecution memo from the Southern District of New York and a draft indictment from Florida against Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. For reasons that I cannot understand nor are permitted by the bill, they were still redacted, even for members of Congress. So, Ms. Bondi, will you commit right here to immediately providing those two documents in unredacted form to members of Congress? Not a complicated question.
Well, I guess it is for you because you have a law degree and those are privileged.
Okay, they're not privileged, but we will discuss that later. I also found an email that I have right here from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell that was unredacted, and it included notes of statements that Donald Trump made about his prior relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, there is no reason for this to be hidden from the American people. There is no privilege, there is no attorney-client privilege, and I see you're checking with your staff, and I can assure you, staff, this is not under attorney-client privilege because it was sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. Will you commit to publicly providing the unredacted version of this so that the American people can understand the extent of Donald Trump's lies about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
You're about as good of a lawyer today as you were when you tried to impeach President Trump in 2016. Have you apologized for that in 2019?
So will you unredact this? Will you
were
unredact
lead
this?
counsel on that. Privileged.
I'm asking you, will you unredact this?
Privileged.
Privileged, of course. I look forward to discussing this more. Now, these are obviously improper redactions.
Well, and let me stop for a minute.
I'm
No.
talking.
If they're not privileged,
quiet.
Don't yell at me. If they're not
Mr. Chairman, would you stop the clock? This is on your time. It's not on Mr.
If
Goldman.
they're not
Even though
privileged,
you used your improper redactions,
you'll like my answer.
to
if we
continue
review
to
them and they're not
protect
privileged,
Donald
Time belongs to the
we'll
member.
be happy to release them.
And we'll stop the clock. We'll stop the clock. Time belongs to the member. Go ahead.
even though you used improper redactions to protect Donald Trump and other predators associated with Jeffrey Epstein, you did the exact opposite thing with the survivors and victims of this scheme. So their identification information was really the only thing required to be redacted, and it was not. And it's clear this was not a mistake. This was not by accident. This was not because you only had 30 days when you really used 75, and that doesn't even include all the hours last March that you were redacting it. But I'll tell you why it's clear it wasn't a mistake. There is an email entitled Epstein Victim List. There are 32 names. One is redacted, 31 are not. So someone looked at it and decided to redact something. And I will tell you, that is clearly intentional to intimidate these survivors and victims. Now, in an interview last week...
How will you tell me that's intentional?
In an interview last week, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche...
You can't go off script.
...said that any victim that wants to speak with the department has done so, hopefully. Well, thanks to the incredibly brave people sitting here behind you, we can actually ask them if that's true. Now, would the survivors and victims who are here please stand up one more time? Just by show of hands, how many of you or your loved ones actually have met with the Department of Justice and provided testimony and evidence? None. And of those of you who have not met, which is everyone, how many of you have reached out either individually or through a lawyer or representative to offer to provide testimony and evidence? All of them. And of those of you, all of you, who have reached out, how many of you were denied or ignored by the Department of Justice? All of them. And despite the shameful and despicable efforts by Ms. Bondi and her department to intimidate you, how many of you are still willing to speak to the Department of Justice? All of them. Well, Ms. Bondi, it looks like you have some more witnesses to talk to.
Gentleman's time has expired.
And I yield back.
We will go to the good gentleman from North Carolina, Congressman Knott. Thank
May
you.
I have a moment, Congressman?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Here we go. Here's the photograph. This is why he wanted to repeat everything that had been said previously on Epstein. This is his state, New York. You probably don't even know who this is. Wahid Mohammed from Afghanistan.
Yes, because I'm no longer a prosecutor.
Convicted of assault. Wow, he represents New York. Wow, yet he doesn't care about the illegal aliens convicted of crimes. Assault and homicide. No longer a prosecutor, so he doesn't care about his constituents. Here we go. Arson, El Salvador, Miguel Palacios. Fermin Flores Ramales, Mexico, rape.
Let's talk about the 70% of immigrants who are detained without a criminal conviction or arrest.
Stop the clock. Stop the clock. Time belongs to Congressman Knott.
The confrontation ignited instantly when Representative Goldman revealed that he had spent hours personally reviewing unredacted materials at the Department of Justice. Goldman called out Attorney General Bondi for unlawfully withholding nearly half of the documents required by Congress under the Transparency Bill. He pointedly noted that while Bondi claimed a year ago that the infamous Epstein client list was sitting right on her desk, it was nowhere to be found in the active trove. Instead, Goldman revealed he found two major documents, an 86-page prosecution memo from the Southern District of New York and a draft indictment from Florida targeting Epstein's wealthy co-conspirators. He slammed Bondi for keeping these files heavily redacted even from members of Congress who possess full clearance. When Goldman demanded she commit to immediately turning over unredacted versions to the committee, Bondi completely froze before condescendingly claiming that the records were legally privileged. Goldman shut her down instantly, telling her flatly, "They're not privileged, but we will discuss that later." That's when Goldman dropped the ultimate bombshell. He held up an email sent directly from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. Because it was an exchange between two non-lawyer co-conspirators, Goldman noted there was zero legal basis for attorney-client privilege. Yet the DOJ had kept it hidden because the email contained detailed notes of statements Donald Trump made regarding his prior relationship with Epstein. Goldman forcefully demanded, "Will you commit to publicly providing the unredacted version of this so that the American people can understand the extent of Donald Trump's lies?" Bondi instantly lost her composure, completely deflecting from the evidence by insulting Goldman's legal credentials and bringing up Trump's 2019 impeachment. As Goldman repeatedly pressed her on whether she would unredact the email, Bondi kept shouting, "Privileged, privileged," to shield the president. The exchange devolved into pure chaos, with Goldman ordering her to stay quiet and stop yelling at him after she attempted to hijack his time. But Goldman wasn't done. He exposed a deeply sinister double standard in how the DOJ processed these files. While Bondi's team used improper redactions to protect Donald Trump and powerful figures, they did the exact opposite to the actual victims. Goldman brought out an email titled Epstein Victim List, containing 32 names. In that file, only a single name was blacked out, while 31 names of real survivors were left entirely exposed to the public. Goldman exposed that this wasn't an accidental mistake. It was a deliberate, calculated attempt to intimidate these brave women. To deliver the final coup de grace, Goldman directly fact-checked the administration's claims that they were actively working with survivors. He turned to the crowded gallery behind Bondi and asked the incredibly brave Epstein survivors standing in the room to raise their hands. Through a stunning live show of hands, Goldman revealed that not a single survivor had been granted a meeting by Bondi's DOJ, yet every single one of them had repeatedly reached out to offer testimony and evidence, only to be completely denied and ignored by the department. Bondi was left utterly humiliated, completely trapped by the survivors she tried to silence. Representative Dan Goldman just exposed a horrific reality. A Department of Justice that acts as a personal shield for powerful politicians while actively harming and intimidating the survivors of sexual abuse. When an attorney general protects an elite pedophile network to shield her boss and leaves victims exposed to public harassment, it is a complete betrayal of the rule of law. What do you think about Dan Goldman absolutely dismantling Pam Bondi over the hidden Trump-Epstein emails? Did he successfully expose a massive institutional cover-up? Or do you think Bondi's use of redactions was justified? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. This is one of the most chilling oversight hearings in American history, and the public needs to see the truth. Help us bypass the algorithmic suppression by smashing that like button and sharing this video everywhere. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our breaking coverage. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.